Greetings YouTube and welcome to my next build. This here is a portion of a bulkhead, like the metal bulkheads that are outside houses used to cover the stairs that go into someone's basement. And this is the portion of the bulkhead that would be vertically against the wall. And then here, coming at an angle, would have been the actual bulkhead itself. And I got this for free. Someone was throwing a bulkhead away and I didn't really need the two side pieces. They were not in the best shape. But this was in pretty good condition as far as this is concerned, the part in the middle here. Obviously that edge is not good and that edge is going to go away. I'm going to cut here and just cut all the way down that so that I just end up with a piece of flat metal. And I'll do the same with this side here. I'm not going to do that in one piece. That's just too much of a long cut to play with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to portion this out into what I want to use it for. Because what I want to use it for is I want to make a double sword. And this is going to be the shaft. This is a 48-inch piece of 1-inch square tubing. It's 1/16 of an inch thick for my thickness, and I think this is probably about that, maybe just a smidge thicker, but I'm not positive. I'll be cutting off here, and I'll be saving these sections because I can probably turn those into brackets of some variety, and I'll get rid of the rest because it's just going to be an L-shaped piece of steel that's not in the best condition. So I'll probably just recycle those because it's steel. Steel recycles really well. Now, one of the things about double swords, a lot of times you see them, and they really seem to be emulating the double lightsaber that Darth Maul used. So you have this full-length sword blade with a handle grip, which is not much longer than the grip that would be on a single-bladed sword. And if you're looking at like medieval swords, like what we consider a long sword, which would sometimes refer to it like it's a hand-and-a-half sword, they really had pretty long grips. But you're going to need a much bigger grip if you have two blades. You can't just double that length because that's not going to give you the leverage you need for the use of a double sword, because a double sword is essentially, it's a pole arm, a martial arts pole arm. It isn't a conventional sword. So I'm going to use this here to create the shaft. So I'm going to have a 4-foot shaft, and I'm going to set the blades in 9 inches. So I'm going to end up with a 9-inch slot, probably about there. Yeah, about there. My fingers, my span from thumb to pinky is about 9 inches. So yeah, about here. There's going to be a slot that comes down to there. So you'll be losing 9 inches of this buried in the blade. And I'm going to make that probably just a little bit wider than the tube, so probably 1.5 inches. And then I'll probably just bring that right up to a point where I begin the actual blade itself. So it's just going to be a slope. A sloped edge here, so my hand would, or the user's hand would come in contact with nothing that's going to harm them. So the portion that's going to be here in the blade, within the grip, will be from that point to here will be just a sloped cut. And then from that point forward will be the actual edge. And I'm probably going to just do a straight edge and then a curved cut. My goal right now is to do a cut that starts at the halfway mark of the length and then comes into a gradual slope, a gradual curve to the point. And I think if my measurements are correct, I can get this to get out of this 2 pieces that'll be 22 inches long. My measurements may not be perfect, and I'll know for sure once I have things that have these cut off and I can get true measurements from just the length of the flat material. But I think I can pull it off 2 22-inch blades. You're going to be losing 9 inches of that before you get to the edge. So you're talking a 13-inch full length. And then I may even go a little bit more than half. I haven't decided of edge. So I may only want a certain amount of straight edge before I go into the gentle slope to the tip. So you're going to end up with a broad blade. I've played with the idea of doing this as a leaf blade, but I think that is, at this point in my life, a little bit more complexity than I want. Once I get the blade cut and I get it roughly shaped, I will then decide if I want to take out some to give it a very, a vaguely leaf blade shape. I don't know yet. I haven't decided. But this is going to end up being a very long object because it's going to be over 6 feet long, 7 feet long when I'm finished. But it's going to be a functional double-bladed, double-edged sword. So you can actually use it both for attacking someone in the front of you and beside you, and using it for blocking, and having it be very dynamic and fast. It's going to look very much like your classic martial arts double weapon, which is what it is. It isn't just a sword that has two edges. It's a sword that has to be used in a very fundamentally different way than a single-handed sword, or a sword designed to be used with either one or two hands. So my buy-in for the blades is free. It didn't cost me nothing, and I don't remember how much I paid for this. And I'll be using some fasteners for $quarter-20s, which I got really, really cheap. So I'm all set on fasteners as far as the assembly goes, because the actual assembly isn't going to be overly complex. 2 slots in the handle, 2 holes probably in this, and then corresponding 2 holes in that. I'll drill holes before I do the slots. So I'll have to drill the holes in these first, and then mark them and drill them in the shaft, and then make the slots. It's always easier to align things before you end up having to get the slots, because when you're drilling you already have the slots in there and you start drilling, the whole thing flexes on you, and you don't want it to flex on you. So that's going to be the first thing I do, and that's one of the reasons I wanted to make this table. If you folks follow my videos, you know that I posted this table, the build video on it, I think in November of 2021. When you see this double sword video, may very well be into 2023. I think I have like 30 crafting videos at the moment, and this will be 31. So I have quite a few crafting videos to go, so you may not see this for a while. But one of the reasons I waited to build this is because I wanted this table so that I can mount things at a height where I want to work with them, and that they're very secure. This is a very solid table. It is a very rigid table. It is much better than trying to do this whole project on sawhorses, which would have been my other option, because my workbench is not in a good position for putting something this size on it to work on, whereas the table is just a flat top. It doesn't have a back. It's not against the wall, so I have much more versatility in how I clamp things. So now it's time to get some safety gear on, and to see if I can get these 2 things cut off, and then get the middle piece, find the middle, and then cut the middle off as well. And for today, I may call that quits. I'm actually on vacation. I don't feel like working real hard today. Alrighty, so thank you for being here this far along. Next up, hopefully I'll have pieces of blades. Both of these have been cut off, and when I was able to cut these off, I was able to use this top piece here as a guide. So I just went along that, so that gave me a nice straight cut. And you can see the shape of the original piece, and this is just wood that I guess was left over when they tore it off the building that it had formerly been attached to. So I'll probably cut this and keep this strip as a potential bracket, and I'll probably lose the rest, but I don't have to worry about that right now. I've got this measured out, and I've got this piece of angle iron here, and I'm going to try bringing my blade in at a slight angle and then just cut right across here. And I've got this thing clamped to my table so that it is definitely not going anywhere. And that is not perfectly in the center, but close enough I'm within a 1/16 of an inch, and that's close enough for this project. Because this is supposed to be a post-apocalyptic build anyway. I'm going to have to take off some of this paint. I don't know how much this paint will have to come off, but I'll have to get some of it off because it's just going to be too nasty. But that will be one of the last things I do, because I have to get these sections off as well. So that's gonna, I may have to clamp something in there to help me get a clean cut on that one, I'm not sure. Or I may just have to eyeball that one and then clean it up later with a flap wheel or something. Alrighty, so I'm going to bring my angle grinder in here with the cutoff wheel and try to get just kissing that corner that I've created and see how well that goes. And I just got to use my my new vise for the first time. So this is the first time I've actually used it on a project, and it worked out just beautifully. I cut the slope piece off first, which then let me put this in the vise vertically so I could cut off the right angle piece on this side, and it worked perfectly. So really quite happy with this. This does exactly what I wanted to do, which is hold a piece of material vertically at a lower height than my other vise does, and it does it just wonderfully. So this is now a completed piece as far as a blank is concerned. It's not quite parallel. I had a hard time starting my cut on the beveled side, but it's close enough that I will get the straight section, and that will become the barrel of the blade, and I'll use the area that I screwed up as the point, so it won't really matter so much. But yeah, so far so good. Now I got to do one more, and I think I'm probably just going to call it quits after making my two blanks. I've got it broken down now, so I've got the two blanks that I need, and I got my shaft. So those are my main components for this project. So now it's going to be to do the layout of the blade itself. Make sure I can get two sections that I like the length, the straight length. I'm going to want some of it to be straight, and then the rest I'm going to have to go into a curve, and I have to figure out how I'm going to make that curve, and I haven't figured out that yet because I don't know if I have a template big enough and that's flat. I mean, I have a dish, I mean, from like a dish television, but it's got a cup, so that's not really conducive to copying it, though it does probably have the right angle somewhere on it, the right curve on it somewhere, but it's not a really good shape as far as the purposes of doing layout are concerned. Maybe I can make myself something that I can just make a repeatable curve with, because I have to do it 4 times, because I need to make 4 curved lines that will be my layouts, and then of course once I get it cut, then I'll just fine-tune it by eye probably. But yeah, I have to figure out some way to make a very gentle curve that's repeatable. I have to make some kind of a template, but I have to figure out what that curve is first before I can make the template. So it's kind of a chicken egg thing. All right, well, I think I'm done today. I'll come back to this next week. But yeah, got the blanks done, but I will admit, I don't know what the heck it was about this project. I killed 2 damn blades on this project. And this blade right here, that started out new. And what do I need by new? That's what it looked like when I started. The vibrations or something on this just literally chewed one of my blades into non-existence. And I mean, these cost about $1 a piece, so the fact that I only got 1 cut out of it wasn't a big deal. But damn, I don't know what happened. But the 4th cut I did, it worked out really well, so I was quite happy about that. I apologize for the noise in the background. I didn't think my humidifier was going to come on, but apparently it's on. All right, so next week we'll come back to this and we'll work on the layout. Okay, the last clip you've seen has nothing to do with what you're about to see. I did the last sections, and I don't remember how long it's been since I filmed the last section for this video with a double sword using these 2 blanks that I made out of that bulkhead. But it's been sitting in the corner waiting for me to look at it and get back to it for the better part of a year, and I just haven't. I just had no interest whatsoever in going back to that design. I don't know why, it just hasn't clicked for me. So I've decided to scrap the idea, and I'm going to use the components that were in that project in another project. And one of the components right here is going to end up in this project. This is an edger designed for, garden maintenance. So you use this to go along the your edge of your lawn and clean it up nice and tight, make it look good at flower beds. You get the idea. And this is from the Green Thumb Company. I never heard of them. I bought this at an estate sale for a song. It was a nice. I got a really good price on this one. And one of the things I like about these is that they often tend to have decent steel. They're well attached if they're being kept up. They're a good length, and it's got a nice narrow shaft. I like that look. And I've used these before to make a number of different projects. I've made a pilum. I've made a harpoon out of an all-metal edger I had. I've made a number. I've made, I think, 4 different spears out of this type of an edger. And I don't want to make an edger with a head that size. I want to make a broad spear. What I want to do is I want to take this piece of steel here and I want to marry it to this head, and that will then give me the situation where I have the whole shaft I'm taking advantage of, but then I'll have a spearhead that comes out to like here. So I'm not handling that with my bare hand at the moment. I should have put a glove on. I apologize, because it's lots of sharp edges on that at the moment. I need to take this down. This edge here needs to be ground down till it's flush. I probably need to square it up slightly so that it's closer to being rectangular. Then I can really get a grip on what I have to work with. Once I have that established, I am then going to figure out what I want to do for the actual blade shape, because I'm thinking I'm going to come up probably 2 inches wide here and then come up at an angle to this corner. I'm thinking. I'm not positive. I have to check that out, and then from that we'll work from there. I'll have to figure out what I want to do. I'm not 100% sure on that yet, but I want to attach this to this first before I do any major cutting, because once I start working with that, I don't want to screw myself up as far as the spacing for my fasteners, because ideally I'll have 4. I'll have 2 narrow ones, two close ones here, and then 2 wider ones here. That'll give me 4 attachment points to marry these two together, and that should be enough. So I need to clean this up first so I can really know what I have to work with. Once I have that cleaned up, then I can look at this and decide how I want to lay out the holes, which I will drill in this first because that's more important, and then drill in this to match it. Once I figure out, what angles and I want and things like that. First of all, just gear myself up, because I'm going to have to use my grinder a lot, so that I can then clean that up and make it closer to a rectangle, and it's considerably less dangerous than it currently is. Okay, after some consideration, I decided to do these separately. Why? Because I realized that this section of the shaft is slightly curved, so I'm compensating for that, which is why these 2 sections are asymmetric, why this is slightly larger than this one, because I'm compensating for the fact that this is slightly out of center, so that the blade will end up in line with the shaft. So I'm not so concerned about what the transition piece looks like so much as I am about making the blade and the shaft be in line. That's far more important. So I have got that cut and this cut, and they're all fully burred and ready to go. And I have them marked. I put little set marks on there so I can now drill them. So I need to set my drill press up, and I've got my outrigger to give me some support, so that I can drill this safely. At the moment, I still haven't had my drill press repaired. In fact, I have to figure out what serial number this thing is, so I can figure out a part, because I'm still missing a part on this. I'm still probably not happy about that, but it is what it is. So I need to get a new part for this. So I can't use this with one hand, so I gotta make sure everything's clamped in place before I start drilling, because I need both hands to get it going now. Kind of annoying, but that's what I'm working with. Okay, so now set this up, and I'll show you what the clamping setup looks like when I'm done. So here is the setup. I have the blade attached to the shaft, and this is the rough shape. I just freehanded that. I will be cleaning it up in grinding, so I'm just going to chop off I'm going to just disassemble this. I wanted to show it to you connected, but I'm going to disassemble this, and then I will cut this and then grind it probably a little bit on my by hand, and maybe a little bit with the angle grinder, maybe on my grinding wheel. Depends on which is going to give me more control. The grinding wheel will probably give me more control to get that curve the way I want it. And then it's going to be a lot of checking it by eye. And once I have that done, then it will be the process of grinding the edge onto it. So I'll be cutting off these with just like angle grinder, but just cut off wheels, choom choom, cut those off. Now the two sections are not perfect. They're very close, and I've already deburred them. They're already in the finished stage, essentially down here. I might put a curve here. I haven't decided yet. I had that's still up in the air, but I like the way this looks, and I'm not too concerned with that not being perfect, because again, the aesthetic is post-apocalyptic. And one thing I did discover though is the tip of this goes up between my rafters. This is a big ass spear. This barely fits into my basement. It doesn't hit the ceiling, but it doesn't clear the ceiling by much either. So disassemble this thing now. I just wanted to get a look at it. I need to make sure all the holes lined up the way I wanted them to. Two of them lined up perfectly. Two of them I had to kind of give a bit of a massage with a drill bit. But now everything lines up. And this is the working side. The show side will be the one where you can really see the patina and I'll be having these heads on that side. So that's going to be kind of the show side. This will be the non-show side. This is the part that didn't rust. I kind of want to show off the rusting and the connection between the shaft and the blade as the beauty side, you know, because again, post-apocalyptic aesthetic. So let's get this disassembled, and then let me whack this thing into pieces and start grinding that edge. I think I forgot to show you how I clamp when I did the drilling. I apologize. I'll show you how I'm clamping when I do the grinding though. So I've got the blade in the shape that I want it to be, partly because I use my grinding wheel, my grinding disc, and then I used my grinding wheel over there to give me the shape I wanted. I'm happy with it. And so now it's time for putting an edge on this thing. So I'm going to have to put a flap wheel on my angle grinder and then start doing that. But I'm holding it down with one of my custom clamps that I made. So I'll get a dog clamp, and then I'm just using my Bremen clamp over here to hold the other end. And that should give me the stability I need. And I'm going to be doing this side first, and this side's going to have a little bit of an easy start because there's actually already a radius there. So I'm just going to kind of come along here at a shallow angle and make the grind I want. And then when I'm happy with one side, flip it over and do it on the other side until I get what I want. Then do the other edge, and then this project will be done, hopefully. We'll see. I gotta check the time before I start this, see how late in the day it is. I don't know. So we're getting there. Final grinding, and we're finished. Well, here she be in all her glory. This is a big ass weapon. Like I said, it's above my rafters. This is not small by any stretch of the imagination. There is the working side, this side I worked with to get everything laid out. As I put the nuts on this side, cut the bolts off so that they would be flush, polished them up a smidge with the cutoff blade. Don't ever put too much pressure on a cutoff blade in a lateral direction. They're meant to cut in the direction they're spinning, but you can use them for a little bit for deburring. That's what I use them for a lot of the time. And here we have the edge. It's not shaving sharp, but it is sharp. The edge has got like very, very few flat spots. As I tried to get it as close as I could to a finished knife edge. But you can never get it perfect with the tools I've got working with here. But I really like the vibe on this. I realize that it is asymmetric here, but the line of the blade lines up with the line of the shaft, and that's the important bit. The fact that this looks slightly wonky, that's less important. I couldn't compensate for that bent shaft. There would be no way I could ever get that shaft straightened out. I don't know what the heck they did to it. Maybe it came like that for all I know. But there you go. I'm really happy with this. I'm glad I was able to reuse this thing. It's a nice shaft. I like the color. I like the juxtaposition between the shaft itself and the blade. I like this, kind of junky looking side. Makes me smile. So yeah, this is definitely a cool design. It's something I may well use at Halloween in a few years. Next year I'm doing Death. I did a post-apocalyptic warrior in the October Halloween of 2022, which is when I'm filming this the week of Thanksgiving 2022. So next year I think I'm going to do Death. I haven't done Death in a while. I need to get myself a new turtleneck though. I don't have a turtleneck, and I need to find something for my feet. I don't have black boots that aren't work boots. I need to find some like zipper up or lace up boots that don't look like boots. You know what I mean? Like, they look like they could be on a mannequin or something. Because I always try to become a mannequin, and I scare people when I move. But this would be a great one for using when I'm doing the post-apocalyptic warrior, because it means I can stand there and I can use that with the butt in the ground to stabilize myself. So then I even look more like a statue, because I can stand much more still when I'm holding something like this as a staff. So yeah, very happy with this Great Spear. That's what I'm going to be calling it, the Wasteland Great Spear. So now it's time for some photos outside, and for this video as well as my DeviantArt. And you should follow me on DeviantArt and on Instagram. DeviantArt is the permanent home of my my stills for my weapon builds, and Instagram is where I post sneak previews, salvage finds, bargain finds that I'll often end up in my builds, as well as cute cat pictures, and who doesn't love a cute cat picture? So thanks for coming here, folks. I hope that you come back for the next one.